Coach. Thank you for joining us. Today we are happy to be joined by Colgate women's hockey head coach Greg Fargo, who has coached 10 seasons at Colgate, and it's been a pretty successful run so far. Coach, thanks for jumping on today.
Yeah, Nick, happy to be joining you with a coffee in hand and, excited to talk some more hockey.
Yeah, I've learned very quickly there's nothing better than talking to a coach over coffee when they're not too stressed out, but never want to talk to a coach before the coffee. That's always a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rule of thumb. For those that know me well, I'm usually walking around here for a good part of the day with one in hand, so there's not too many moments where you catch me pre-coffee, that's for sure.
Well, I'm glad that we timed this one right today. So starting with the most recent news, coming off a weekend sweep of Penn State, I know your team and your coaching staff was pretty fired up about that to get that result and get things started the right way in the non-conference. What are the feelings coming out of that weekend?
Yeah, I think overall, it was a really good road weekend for us. We were playing a really good team down there at Penn State, a team that has been getting better year in and year out the last few seasons. And, we knew that, in a lot of ways, like they're a program that, has been building, for this year and the years to come. So we knew it was going to be a tough test on the road, and just really pleased overall with, the result. Obviously, I thought, looking back, we kind of started a little bit slow, I thought, on the Friday night's game, or Friday afternoon's game rather, but found a way to win. In both those games, we were able to kind of find a way late to pull it out. And I think anytime you can face that kind of adversity, as a team early on in the year and find a way, it bodes well, for the games to come, because we know we're going to be in those situations once again. But happy with the result. But as the weekend went on, I was more pleased with just how our team played, and a lot of the things we've been working on to this point, showed itself really well for us. So pleased to come away with the wins and to keep building early on in the year here.
In Caldwell, trying to just find a way to get those done. Obviously, a little bit easier to find a way when you have some of the players coming back that you do. Just give us a little bit of a run through on your, I know it's a group effort. I know you're a player's coach and everyone has a part, but having Calty score that late goal and having, Danielle Serdachny being one of the players that just always involved, from those two on, how important is it to have that leadership and the experience of those studs?
Yeah, I can't speak to it enough. To be honest, Nick, like it's a really good feeling as a coach when you've got the leadership that we've got. I mean, truthfully, when you look at our roster on paper, we're a young team in comparison to the rest of the country. And but what's neat is that the core of our team, a good part of the group that has been here over the last couple of years and won some championships together, they're some of our older players and certainly some of our leaders. And you see it every day. Like you really get to see it in practice. They're the ones that really get to set the pace and the vibe of practice every day and what we want to accomplish day in and day out. But then in the big moments, we're going to need them, and we needed them this past weekend against Penn State. Certainly, some of the players you mentioned came through for us in the end. It's always a team effort, there's no doubt, but our leadership is really, grabbed the rope, and certainly they're hungry for more this year too. I mean, we've had 2 early exits of the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, and I think they're eager and hungry for more. And now that the ball's in their court as leaders, they're going to make sure they make the most of it.
So 5-0 so far. Really defensively has been the strong point for the most of the time. I mean, opening the season with 3 straight shutouts, and even 4 if you include your exhibition. Heading into 4 straight home games over the next 2 weekends, RIT in Vermont. What are some things that you're looking, or even the key point that you're looking to continue to build on, and what's something you might be able to tighten up a little bit?
Yeah. Overall, really pleased with our defensive game, which, looking back at it, that hasn't necessarily been our strongest point. We've traditionally been a team that's been pretty offensively heavy. and I think in many ways we've picked up where we left off there. We had some really good chances. I think we had, some like 40 shots on net on Saturday against Penn State, but to walk away with just scoring twice is, something that we want to continue to grow on and continue to focus in on. Just finding more ways to score. I think if we can continue to do what we're doing away from the puck and up ice from a defensive standpoint, that'll bode well. But just continue to focus on our offensive zone play and our offensive game. That's something I think over the next couple of weekends we're looking to kind of continue to build upon. It's been a focus, but then as you get into games, kind of talk a little bit more about play away from the puck and the defensive side, and I feel like we've got to hit it again here heading into this weekend against RIT, and hopefully we get some good opportunities to hang on to the puck in the ozone.
And I know coaches don't like to look ahead too much, but as you look towards the end of October, that ECAC start is looming, and obviously this women's league, arguably, and maybe even not arguably, in my opinion, the best women's league in the country right now. I mean, 7 teams in the top 12. What for you is that turning point? Is that a new season? Do you just kind of say, let's get going, or is it just to build a momentum?
Yeah, I think you have to look at it almost as a new season because it is. And as you said, like every team in this league, since I've been here has just continued to get better and better. And I think it speaks to that depth that you mentioned. I mean, to have 7 teams in the top 15 is quite incredible. And so every night in our league is going to be a battle. I think really the team that finishes on top this year is going to have to be the team that is most consistent day in and day out. And knowing that, you're probably not going to win all those games, but just to be able to continue to grow as the season goes and learn from, wins, learn from losses as well. Those teams, I think, that just continue to get better over the course of a long, tough, challenging season in the ECAC will be well positioned at the end of the year where you want to be.
So I'll go 2 questions that are a little less directly Colgate related and more, I know that we have a lot of coaches watching this, a lot of players that I know have been watching this. I've just checked through social media and what our response is. So a couple things. One, with your history of, obviously a very successful run at Elmira in the Division III level and getting to this point where you are now, being a graduate of Elmira, just something for the players overall. And this is not specific to ECAC, but in general, hockey players, the journey of where you start and as you build up through your hockey rankings. I know everyone's always D1 or bust or do this, and you have to be the top of the top. What have you learned in your career in terms of playing, coaching, and just being involved in the game that, everyone has their own path?
Yeah. It's a really good point. I mean, when I think back to my playing days, like, one of the big reasons that I felt like Elmira was the right place for me was because, one, I felt like I was really wanted there, and I felt like I could go there and make an impact. I mean, I was a goaltender, and for me, having the right major and also having a real opportunity to play were 2 things that were at the top of my list. And I think because I followed what it was that was important to me, it allowed me to have a really good experience. And we talk about that with our recruits and our players now, but just finding the right program and the right people to go on this journey with is a really big part of just enjoying it. I think, it's so easy to get caught up in, like you said, the dreams of D1 or bust, but to be around like-minded people that fit, what you're looking for. It might be the style of play. It might be the opportunity to play. It might be, some academic reason that draws you to a particular school. I just think being around like-minded people and staying true to, what drives you in the first place to find the right home, and I think when you do that, and as a player, you make that decision, it really drives your experience. It's not somebody else's thoughts or opinions. It's not mom or dad. It's not a coach. It's you. It's what's important to you. And I think, for the people that I've had the chance to playing with and also coaching, the people that have stayed true to that, I think have really, had some of the best experiences over the years.
Awesome. That's a great answer. And shifting the second question, more X's and O's. This is when we're going to start. You didn't see it if you watched the first episode, but it's going to happen now. So without giving away any of your trade secrets, if you had to give me your favorite drill, what is something that a coach can learn from that we can say, hey, here's one that we run and we love it, and this is kind of how it works? And I'm putting you on the spot on purpose.
Yeah, that's more fun. No heads up, but way more fun. I agree. I think we've long story short, I guess, thinking back to our time here at Colgate, I mean, a younger Greg Fargo and a younger Colgate staff would probably be really drills heavy. We were talking a lot about structure, and then, we went completely the other way at some point, and focused mainly, went through a whole year where it felt like everything we did was a small area game of some sort, with some sort of competition to it. And I feel like we've kind of landed somewhere in the middle. I more so than a specific drill, probably just a philosophy that we feel like there's got to be some scaffolding, some structure in terms of how we practice, but also an opportunity for our players to play games and allow them the opportunity in practice to express what it is, whether it's a skill or a concept that you're trying to teach, allow it to come to life as a coach, and I think that's where for us the small games have been really impactful. And I think what we've tried to do is as much as possible add a competitive piece to practice, and I think those games allow us to do that. It's the closest thing to mimicking a game. There's a minute left, you're down a goal. How do you respond? Or, you've got a 2-goal lead and you got a period to play. Like, how do you manage those situations? And I think one of the hardest things to coach is those moments, because really, if you don't get them outside of a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon, it's tough to get reps at it. But the more you can replicate that in a small area game, I think the better for your team to be able to learn and grow through those experiences. So we try to do that as much as we can. And quite frankly, Nick, a lot of the games we play, we make them up. It's taking a structure maybe that someone else has used and adding our own twist on it. So I guess for coaches out there, I just encourage them to, be creative, figure out what it is that you're trying to get out of that game or that practice, and work together to come up with something, and not be afraid to kind of fall on your face with it too. We've had a lot of bad games that we've experienced, but for the most part, we've learned and had a way to put our own twist on it.
There's always that moment at coaching at any level where you start a drill and 2 minutes in, you realize this probably isn't going to work this way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it happened yesterday in practice, and our players called us out on it, but through conversation with them, like, we were able to figure it out, and we made a couple adjustments, and the rest of the game was great, and we got exactly what we wanted out of it. So it's not always how you draw it up, but I think when you're willing to take some feedback from the players and make some adjustments on the fly, you can learn and grow as a coach too in that scenario.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, the last one I got for you, nice and easy. How do you take your coffee?
Great question. Straight black. I ideally a little bit of room though still, because I don't like, depending on where I get it from, I don't like the spillage. I don't like walking into the office with coffee all over my hands. So a little bit of room, but still black would be my order.
Keeping it clean, don't want to ruin the image, right? With a dirty coffee cup.
Exactly. You got it.
All right. Well, Coach Greg Fargo of Colgate, we appreciate your time and taking on RIT this weekend, Friday at 6:00. You can watch that and all ECAC hockey home games on ESPN Plus. Coach, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nick. Enjoy the rest of your coffee.
You as well.
Take care.